Our last learning target of the unit, 19, day 2. And what we're going to do a little bit in this one is talk about the 3 different types of linear equations that we've seen and what information they each have that's useful. So I've talked several times in these videos about the usefulness of slope-intercept form. And what's really useful about slope-intercept form is it's a unique equation of the line. It gives you the starting value, remember start plus change times x, it gives us our starting value, and the rate of change. So that's why it's really useful to know how to change equations into slope-intercept form. Our first equation is in standard form. Standard form is nice because it's really easy to get the x and the y intercepts out of standard form. So it gives us our start value, the y-intercept, and then it also gives us an x-intercept. So to rewrite this in slope-intercept form, remember slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, start plus change times x, meaning it's solved for y. Y is alone, and it's as simplified as it can get. So when we've got it in standard form, we want to cancel the x term. Remember, using the golden rule. Whatever you do to one side of an equation, you do to the other. So to cancel my 3x term, I'm going to subtract it from both sides. Now over on the left-hand side, it cancels, leaving me with 2y. And on the right-hand side, if you like the mx plus b form, since these are not like terms, you can write your negative 3x plus 12. If you like the start plus change times x, go ahead and write 12 minus 3x. Both are acceptable forms and acceptable answers. Next, isolate the y by using the golden rule. So we've got 2 times y. How do I cancel multiplication? By dividing. Now remember, the golden rule says to whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. So when I look at the right-hand side, I have 2 terms. I have to divide both terms by 2 in order to use the golden rule. So on the left-hand side, my 2's cancel. I'm going to write my slope as a fraction, negative 3/2 x, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. Same process. Cancel the x using the golden rule. I've got a negative 7x this time, so I'm going to cancel it by adding. Don't lose the negative in front of your 4. This is now a negative 4y instead of subtracting 4y. And this time, just to show you that both ways to express your answer are acceptable, I'm going to go ahead and do the start plus change times x way of expressing slope-intercept form. And then the last step is to isolate the y using the golden rule. So I have negative 4 times y. Cancel my multiplication. I will divide everything by negative 4. Cancels on the left-hand side, leaving me with y. On the right-hand side, my negative 30 over negative 4, my negatives will cancel. And I notice they're both divisible by 2. 30 divided by 2 is 15, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. My 7/4 doesn't simplify, so I'm going to go ahead and write it as rise over run. That's the form that we want it in, so don't put it as a mixed number. Your slope should never be a mixed number, always an improper fraction. And just some more practice with horizontal and vertical lines. We're going to identify the slope. We're going to identify if the line is horizontal or vertical, and we will graph it. And I don't care what order you do this in. If it's easier for you to graph it and then go back and give the slope in horizontal or vertical, that's fine. I don't care. And in fact, I think that's how I kind of set up my steps. One way, if you can't remember if x equals this horizontal or vertical, and if y equals this horizontal or vertical, create a t-table. You don't need to do this every time, but until you get used to it, not a bad idea. Now it says x equals 4. That is the only value you are allowed to put in for x. It doesn't say anything about y, so you can make up any values you want for y. Plot the points. 4, 0. 4, negative 10. 4, 2. Well, you know what? Now I can see my line goes through those 3 points, and I can answer the rest of the questions. Is it horizontal or vertical? It's vertical. give the slope. If you remember from that cheesy slope dude video we watched, the undefined was the vertical line, so the slope is undefined. Well, by now you're probably figuring out that the y equals is going to be a little bit different than the x equals, but let's go through this process just in case. Now this time it says y equals -5. That's the only value you are allowed to put for y. And now it says nothing about the x. We can make up any x values we want to. Okay? And plot our ordered pairs, -3, -5. We've got 4, -5. And 2, -5. Fairly obvious to see where my line is now. Arrows on both ends. This time it is a horizontal line with a 0 slope. If you can't remember this is 0 fun was the horizontal line on our cheesy slope dude video. But if you can't remember that, the way that I typically think about slope is rise over run. So when you're looking at a graph, figure out your rise. Well, horizontal line has no rise. 0 rise equals a 0 slope. On our vertical line, we have rise. Let's just look at these 2 points, but no run. We can't divide by 0. That's undefined. And your U-try problems.